I think that's why we're both talking about Japanese stuff here, because it's like, man, you're right. The buying power of Canadian versus yen is fantastic.
Especially if you have US dollars.
Oh,
it's even better.
Well, that's what my next thing I was going to say is like us trying to buy US stuff right now is awful. Feels like you're getting kicked in the nuts on every purchase, man. It's like a 1.37 multiplier. It's insane.
Yeah,
it hurts.
It's bad. I mean, it's been that way for a while, but
yeah. I think we were getting down to at least 1.3 like a few months ago, 6 months ago. Now it's like almost we're closer to 1.4 than 1.3 right now. Yeah, which you notice it.
Surprising. Yeah.
You notice it. So just keep buying Japanese stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's the cheaper option. I guess I've never been. I always wanted to take a trip to Japan. And
it's a perfect time.
Perfect time.
Go all the dollars. Millionaire in Japan. Exactly.
That's right. Live like a king. Yeah, that's not going to happen, but
hey.
You can dream.
Just get there. Make it happen.
That's right.
Welcome in, you guys. Greg's Weekend Rental, episode 21 here. Just talking about what we've been picking up, where we see opportunity in the market right now. 2024, about almost halfway through now, actually.
Yeah.
Things are pretty stable in most collecting categories, I'd say. I mean, we have our spikes and booms on modern Pokemon's pumping up. Modern video games factory sealed are honestly doing pretty good. Modern sports cards, the usual stuff is still doing good, but where are you seeing opportunity is what we're going to talk about, and also what we've been picking up lately, because, I mean, you just picked up a huge game from a local game store of all places.
Yeah.
And when you can catch a game store slipping, caught him slipping, I don't know if there's anything better. And it also just confuses me. Like, as a game store owner, well, here, tell us what you got here for the first game. You can start off.
Yeah, okay. So, well, only the YouTube people can see this.
Yeah, we got the YouTube viewers are getting the special here on the visual, but
I don't know if this will work visually, but it's a sealed Pokemon Gold graded VGA 80+. And this one is actually the only known graded copy of a Canadian variant. So that means it's just like the US version, but it has an outer shrink wrap with a Canadian French manual underneath.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen one either.
I've never seen one before.
I know in Canada we get these variants where bilingual laws require them to put another manual on there with the bilingual portion. So that's what it is. That's why it exists.
Yeah.
It's double sealed, essentially. You could open it and have a perfect US copy underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if I were to crack it out and remove that shrink wrap, it would likely be an A+, maybe even A++ seal.
Yeah, it should be a beautiful seal because it's been protected its whole life. That's
it hasn't seen
one of the nice things about
any
that.
Shelfware. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of took a gamble on it. I thought it was, pretty generously priced. But I was like, I'll take a chance.
Was that a part of the bundle deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that one, that one was not bad priced.
Yeah.
But the real prize that you did get in there was the Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get to that one.
Okay.
You should go next.
Okay. We'll save your next
We'll
good
save
one.
the next one. The real banger.
So just in a weird roundabout, I'll start off with something a little bit light here, but with Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts here, I'll show you guys on the camera. I found someone's wholesaling this. And now Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is not the greatest Xbox 360 game. It's not the greatest Banjo Kazooie game. Oh, there we go. The fans are in the audience here.
Rare replay, that's what happened. Yeah.
But it is factory sealed, Xbox 360, only on Xbox 360. You might be able to buy it on the store now, probably.
Maybe.
Like the Xbox One online store, but whatever, doesn't matter. We're physical collectors. I don't care what you can buy online.
Don't care about your digital crap.
Yeah, exactly. Get that out of here. But someone was selling 15 copies of it.
Wow.
So I bought all 15 because I'm that kind of psychopath.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hope they were cheap at least.
Yeah, that's I paid 60 each. Like, what a steal. Like, I'm going to flip these. And
I paid retail for this. This is great.
Yeah. I have 15 Canadian each. So about 11 US is what I got these in for.
That's pretty good.
So I was like, okay. We're getting factory sealed copies of Banjo Kazooie. Xbox 360's going through this frickin' nostalgia wave of people discovering it, getting more interested in it.
I think it's really prompted by the store closing,
absolutely,
right? Yeah,
absolutely. So as people go through this, it's like the store closure is happening. So all those games that are not available anymore on the store, people are buying up niche games, like the most random stuff you can find on 360 now is just pumping up, but in that discovery phase of people being like, hey, Xbox 360 is actually cool, because of course it is. I just figured that people might get around to other stuff where it's like, oh, Xbox exclusive, Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is part of the Banjo Kazooie franchise, and at $12 a pop, I just don't care.
Yeah.
It's extremely low.
It's a minimal risk investment. So
yeah, very
you
little
know.
downside, very little opportunity cost, and I might be able to double or even triple on these if any kind of interest comes. I think they're already 20. The purchase price I paid is already below market value, so it's like
Then that's okay.
yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But 15 copies of Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, so I'm now the Banjo Kazooie king, I guess.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, like,
It's certainly something. I don't know if cool is the word I'd use, but it's certainly something.
well, you know, it's cool when you can buy older sealed inventory at an already, you know, below the market
But
price.
that's
So
what stood out to me so much.
that's
is
pretty
like,
difficult to
like
get.
Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, I think is like 2007. What's it say on this? Like it's an old game at this point.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah.
Talking 16 years ago. I'm
Yeah.
picking them up for $12 a pop. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
who cares? Who cares? Why not?
Wait long enough, you might get $15 a pop.
Yeah, exactly. Like entrepreneur. Like this is how you do it, guys.
I'm gonna open one and keep the
How does
rest.
Greg have such a great collection? Well, let me tell you the secret here. Like
You buy 15 copies of Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts
Yep. You
and
just
proudly display them all on your shelf.
why have anything else? Like that's
Yeah.
I'm not reselling
But
them.
you
They're
know what?
mine.
If you get all the box protectors, is they're going to cost you more. You know, you're going to be paying 15.
Get 'em
bucks
all
a-
graded.
Yeah, that's right. Get them all graded.
Spend $1,000
Flood the
on
market.
grading fees.
Yeah.
But that's my first pickup that I have here. And with Xbox 360 stuff, it's funny because I also just made a video telling you to like sell your 360 stuff. Because if you have some of those games that have spiked up in value, we're talking like games that were $20 spiking up to 120, like Hell's Infernal, Hell's Vengeance, Bullet Witch, Knights Templar. They might hold their value, but largely it's games no one cared about until 3 months ago. Fatal Inertia. In my opinion, if you have one of those games already, if you paid 15, $20 for it, sell it for $100. Don't think of it. Don't
Yeah.
overthink a situation.
No,
here.
catch the wave now.
Yes.
And if you really love it, buy it back when it drops.
That's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
So it's funny for me to be saying like sell your games. I'm also like picking up garbage 360. You know?
Sell your games, but when they're, you know, $12 a pop.
Yeah, there's just nuance to everything, and that's the hard part.
Yeah.
There's nuance to everything.
Yeah.
You make blanket statements, and there's always exceptions. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Nothing stays the same. It either, you know, goes up or goes down. You just kind of ride the wave.
yeah, and there's always going to be stuff that you buy and stuff that you sell. So yeah, 360 stuff. I think there's a good opportunity there. As much as I think you should get it the hell out of some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You can always buy it back later.
Exactly.
Not like it's rare.
That's one of the biggest points of my video. Even
Yeah.
the ones that are going up, it's not like they're rare.
No.
We're talking CIB 360 games. They exist, baby.
Yeah.
They're out there.
That's right.
The
And they all
next
have
one
their
you
cases.
had, the big one then. Yeah,
Yeah.
go to the big one just because it was linked with the gold, the Pokemon Gold.
Yeah. So we got another gold game.
Now you're actually spending money out here. I'm
Another-
showing you $15 on Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah.
you can drop a bomb.
Your next
now.
thing better impress
Yeah,
me, or I'm
kind
going
of
to leave.
up the dollar.
That's right. That's right. But don't deal with plebs here.
I'm for the common man. I support you guys.
Game in for the average Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Not this elitist. Like, look at this.
Yeah. Well, I'm very fortunate that I found this thing, but this is a factory sealed, case fresh Ocarina of Time collector's edition.
Put it by you because I'm gonna
Yeah.
zoom. Yeah.
I don't know where
Cover
the
your
camera's
face.
going to
There
get
we go,
caught
yeah.
here. Yeah, I'll cover my face because it's going to go here. Yeah. So this was like a stupid chance to buy something like this because someone so me and a buddy went for a road trip just to another city just to kind of visit some shops and go collectibles hunting and
Yeah, we have next to no scene in our
yeah.
actual city, so you just drive a couple hours north and
Yeah.
you have some scene there.
Yeah, there's a little bit more culture there.
Exactly.
Something's going on there. But someone locally had found a case pack of Ocarina of Time collector's editions, a 6-pack of them. And so he sold a bunch to one store. And I remember because we went to the same store last year and they had another one. But it had a giant rip in the front in the seal. And I was so close to buying it. And I thought the price was good.
How much were they asking for that one?
It was just over 2,000 Canadian.
Okay,
like
so
that.
1,600 US, maybe 1,700
Yeah.
US, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I tried to buy it. I made an offer. We couldn't quite agree on a price. And I was just like, you know, and I don't want to take
Yeah,
the
with
risk.
the large rip, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
It's
the
a
box.
placeholder ultimately.
Yeah. The box was great, but that rip, yeah, makes things difficult. But so anyway, we go back like this year, a few weeks ago, we went back to the store and they had another one. I'm like, oh, it's still there. And then so I was like, can I check that out? And because the price was the same. And so the guy pulled it out and I took a look at it. I'm like, oh, this is not the same copy. This is a totally different copy. And it's like perfect. I was like, what's going on here? Another like really nice.
Yeah, you
sealed.
shouldn't just stumble upon
No.
sealed copies of collector's edition of Ocarina of Time.
No, this is not something that you just.
This isn't a Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts, or they're just out there.
Yeah, that's right. Usually you'll see like a CIB, in a cabinet, and it's got all kinds of.
Yeah, even the CIB goes in the cabinet for Ocarina collectors. Exactly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is like really nice. And I was quite shocked by it. And so, yeah, I ended up just buying that and Pokemon Gold together, made like a kind of bundle deal out of it. And
that was still right around that 1700 for the Ocarina. Yeah. Like, man.
It was a no-brainer for me.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
And like you were talking, that's case fresh there. You might 9.6 on it. It might 9.8.
It could, yeah.
Could be a VGA 90. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars of value. Like it'll be worth probably 5,000 plus.
Yeah.
Once it's actually appraised properly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy to me that 2024, I mean, all this stuff happened with the WATA games, the Boom, sealed games, graded games. In my mind, that's also, like, people are aware. Especially if you're a game store owner.
Mm-hmm.
You should be aware of that, in my opinion. I just can't believe it in 2024. You walk into a game store.
To find a deal like that.
Doesn't make any sense. And no one else is buying it.
Yeah, it's sad. Who knows how long it's been there?
Who knows how long it's been there? I doubt you walked in the day it was put out.
Could have been there for, like 6 months or something.
It just really how niche this all still is, I guess, is what it points out. It's just like graded games, sealed games, understanding value it's just still super niche.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're in the game of being a store owner, your primary bread and butter is just CIB stuff, cart only. That's the kind of stuff that moves more or less than this like high value stuff. So, sometimes just the due diligence isn't put through, and
I that's what kills me. It's like, I don't know. You're a store owner. You have to have connections or friends or something, I would think, where you can be like, hey, what do you think about this? Give me an opinion on this. Like, I don't know. Go to Facebook groups. You're a store owner. Like, maybe I just put too much high of a praise on it, but it's like in my opinion, they should be the ones who are on top of. You should be, I guess, on top of trends, changes, repricing your 360 stuff as it. Not the guy who's, I guess, maybe there's just, I don't know.
It's tough. I mean, this is, this kind of stuff is like why we live for this, to find things like this. It just doesn't happen all the time.
Oh, it just doesn't. I know $1,700, right? It probably sounds crazy. You guys are freaking out. Yeah, it's $1,700, but like I said, it's. I would give him right now $3,000, and I wouldn't think twice. I would just hand you $3,000. You double your money or whatever, and it's that kind of obvious on this side of the
just
hobby.
How nice it is. Yeah. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, for sure.
And finding that at a game store is just, that's the dream. Never mind a grad sale. You went to a freaking game store.
Yeah. And it just, even the pre-story of it, someone finding a case back, like, when does that happen?
I agree, especially where we live.
Yeah. So, maybe this place has some more nice sealed ocarinas floating around.
Go back in next week. Maybe he'll put out the fourth copy or however many he has.
Well,
right?
He did tell me this was the last one.
This is the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I think an employee maybe bought the other one. Okay. I think that's what he hinted at when I was asking about this one. But yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I was just blown away. Like, there's very little wrong with it.
How do you feel about N64 collecting in general? Like, is that going to be, okay, I guess, are you going to hold on to it? Is like N64, do you think it's like something people should, even CIB cartridge? What do you think of N64?
I mean, I love N64. I think I'm torn. I hover sometimes between SNES, N64, and GameCube being my favorite console.
Okay.
Like, I go through like phases, depending on like if I'm playing a certain retro game. But when I think about the absolute best memories I've ever had with a console, I think it has to be N64. Like that, playing Ocarina for the first time, playing Mario 64 for the first time, there was nothing else like it because it was such a jump over SNES.
I agree with that.
GameCube obviously was another jump off N64.
It was an upgrade.
It was for sure an upgrade. But you know what? It's still based on that 3D environment, which was pioneered by the N64 and the other consoles of the time.
So is this you telling me you're going to keep it? There it is. There it is. It's it's tough, man. It's tough. I get it.
I'm like,
it's tough.
I buy so few games these days, but like, if I had a reservation about selling one, it would be Ocarina, just because I love that game so much. And I had a sealed one that I eventually sold a few years ago.
Oh, so you did have, okay, yeah. You
I
had
did
one
have, but
already.
it was only like a 6.5.
Oh,
Like, it
yeah,
was,
okay.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was
significantly worse than the one you're currently.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's kind of funny because with nice stuff like that, like I have a Ocarina of Time collector's edition factory sealed as well. I paid way too freaking much for it during 2021, but I do own one.
Right.
There's like ceilings on how nice of something I want to own. Like yours right now is a top tier copy of the game. Right auction, right grade might bring 7,000 US. Top grade copy, right? Very nice. Even for myself, loving Ocarina, being an N64 collector, factory sealed and stuff, it's like there's upper limits where I'm like, man, I don't really need this nice of a copy of this game. I'd be happy with a 9.0, with a 9.2 worth, $2,000, $3,000. I don't need the $7,000 copy of the game.
Yeah. And that's how I feel like about Mario 64 too. Like I'd be happy with a
exactly.
lower grade copy.
Not a $1.5 million one. Like what do you mean? You got to get it's the best of the best.
Yeah.
You can be in a picture with the co-owner of Reddit there. Yeah. You guys with your Mario 64s. Like,
look at all the money we lost.
Yeah. His wife Serena just shaking her head like,
you know what I mean, when it's that kind of level.
Yeah, we're talking like
you're not hurting.
I think their net worth is billions, to be funny enough, but
yes. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're not worried.
No, it's just so funny though.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
But even with Mario 64, I'm looking to buy like a 9.0.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. That's all. My Smash Bros 64 I recently picked up on N64. So I personally, talking about where the opportunity, I personally think N64 is great for buying right now. Prices are down tremendously. I mean, on most sealed stuff, yes, but like you said with N64, it resonates so strongly with me that I'm like, man, I want to get N64 stuff. At one point, I almost had the full set. I freaking love N64. But I picked up a Smash Bros 9.08 Plus right around 3,500 US. That's a game that was selling at one point for same grade 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 1.5 years, $22,000. 3,500 isn't cheap. I get that. It's more than it was, in 2018, 2017. But I don't know. I'm happy now putting the risk in because I don't feel like, this is just personal, outlook on things. I don't feel like the downside risk now is as great as the upside potential, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We're not going to see a massive swing like we did at the end of COVID.
It simply can't anymore. It's $3,500. Like, okay, let's say it goes down to $2,750. I'm fully okay with risking that amount now. That's it's numbers that make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like we were saying about the $7,000 game, like that could still drop thousands of dollars. Could happen. I don't really think it will anymore because that 7,000 used to be 40,000. It's all relative, but we're now at a point where the downside risk for myself is manageable. And that's where the big considerations come from. No, it's not cheap, but it's manageable. And the upside could be greater than the downside.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's something you like and buy to hold, yeah,
I'm not selling it, so it's pretty moot. It's like that we mentioned it briefly, that Majora's Mask demo card I own. Paid $8,000. It's probably worth $4 or $5 right now.
Right.
Sucks. It's a lot of money lost. I'm not selling it anyway. Yeah. It doesn't really change anything.
Yeah. Well, you only take a loss when you sell, so that's really it.
Would it be nice if I paid less so I could simply buy more? Of course, but sometimes you got to take a shot on stuff. It just is what it is. Hopefully in the next 5 years, hopefully it eventually recovers.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, though, it's not like I'm not. Oh, well.
Yeah. And stuff like that, it's pretty dang rare.
It is.
When you do get a shot at a nice one, it's like, well, you pay up or you don't.
And that's where I was. I had the money at the time.
Yeah.
Take a shot at it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's like Smash there. I bought, I had the money right now. Take a shot at it. Might end up being terrible in a couple of years, but I can live with it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I need to upgrade my Ocarina of Time too. Speaking of, maybe we should talk after. I can't afford your copy. I can't afford your copy. Who am I kidding? I need a much worse one.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's very nice.
Another spot where I have been picking up a lot of stuff. Even last night, I just won an auction. I don't know why I say that. I did that in a video too. I noticed an auction for a Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Melee.
Yeah, Melee. I won a 9.48 for 475 US. Which again, it depends who's I think we have mostly people who listen to this who are like more on the higher side of the hobby. I know if we have like more, maybe you stumbled into the podcast, you're like, what the hell? Who are these guys? Why are they spending $1,000? $475. Like, good price.
Yeah. That's exorbitant.
There's the disconnect.
Yeah.
I think most of our listeners are on the higher end, but I don't know. Anyways, $475 for Melee. It was one of the GameCube games I still didn't own. I don't have it in my hands yet. I literally just won it last night. I was nervous, or last week, I guess, by the time this airs. I was nervous about it. Straight up. $500 for a GameCube game still is not cheap. Like, I'm well aware of that. Melee, though, is a game that I still didn't own towards my my GameCube, like, main series set, my Nintendo set of GameCube games. I'm passively trying to put together every mainline first-party GameCube game.
Which is feasible.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Melee's up there, 9.4A, not the greatest grade, but not bad. But that's up there at $500 is one of the most expensive ones you'll buy. Fire Emblem's up there.
Gotcha
Wind Waker.
Force.
Yeah. Just
I mean,
Gotcha.
not-
Yeah, it's like
It's not first party.
not buying freaking Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But in the terms of overall,
At least I can
collectible
get
games,
away
yeah.
from that. Yeah. I think Chibi is that first party, I think.
Chibi Robo.
I don't know if I'll buy that, to be honest. I think it's first party.
I think so.
But like, I don't want to spend like $800 on Chibi Robo. I don't care about it. I just don't.
Yeah.
No part of me cares. I know everyone's like, oh, Chibi's such a hidden gem.
So what?
I might not buy it. Yeah, I might not buy that. So it'll
Yeah.
be an asterisk, full first party Nintendo set, like
Minus.
asterisk minus Chibi because I don't want to spend $1,000 on a sealed one.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the latest pickups on GameCube I grabbed there, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
I finally have a Melee. There's more GameCube I'm going to show off too here, but do you have another one there? You have the gold, the
yeah.
Ocarina?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll keep with games. So
Yeah.
I did a trade with someone. Let me grab both these here. Now I'm bringing in the heat. Never mind those Banjo Kazooies. That's me pandering to the pores. We're freaking, we're going up in the world here. But Fire Emblem, GameCube 9.8A plus, and Wind Waker, Black Label, GameCube 9.8A plus. Top tier grade copies here. Fantastic. I put them both, like me in the thumbnail picture. Like, love them. But the only reason I have these, because these are generally higher grade than I would actually try to get for this. I'm generally happy with 9.6A plus. It's a great compromise between value and condition.
Yeah.
But the 9.8A pluses here are because I was able to do a trade with someone actually, which worked out for both of us because he is more of an NES collector. And these days I'm moving towards more GameCube and 64.
Makes sense. You have more of a connection to that.
I simply do. And I was a huge NES collector. Like I was going for full set at one point. I have many factory sealed NES games. Love collecting for the NES. But the game that I traded away is called Star Force. And it is a very low-key title on NES. I think it's Tecmo. Not really a game anyone ever talks about ever. Like even Hidden Gems, nothing. Like it's Star Force. I think it's a $10 cartridge. But I had a factory sealed first print, no Reve. The thing with NES is you have a lot of really bad random games that are extremely rare factory sealed, especially if you start getting into variant hunting and variant collecting with first prints. And Star Force just happens to be one of those games where first print copies of it, they don't exist. So I think it's literally a WATA Pop 0 still. No one sent in a WATA copy. My copy was raw. And VGA might have one or two known. So I traded that to him. He's a big NES collector as well. It works out for his collection. We did the valuation somewhere around $2,000, $2,500, $3,000. It was we didn't get super ticky-tacky with the numbers because, frankly, it just works out for both of us. He's happy to have it. I don't think he's reselling it. I'm happy to have these. I'm not reselling them. And when you're working with another collector where you're like, oh, we're both doing things to further our collections, I think it's a lot easier to get not super ticky-tacky with numbers.
Yeah.
Where you have to be like, oh, well, you got to add in another $50. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, I don't know what Star Force is worth either. We're both guessing.
Yeah,
I could auction it and it sells for $1,000. It could auction for $5,000. I genuinely don't know. They don't exist and it's super niche.
Yeah.
Just depends who shows up to the auction.
Yeah. It's funny, like when you think of the NES rares versus SNES, for example, it seems like all the super rare Super Nintendo games are actually really good ones.
I agree with you
like
fully.
Ninja Warriors, those kinds of things.
Even like Turtles 4, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger Factory Sealed is extremely hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're actually like great games. Whereas like NES, the really niche, obscure things are sometimes real junk.
Oh, you're chasing after Color a Dinosaur. Like Pop 7 sold for $3,000.
That's crazy.
Right? Like it's,
I mean, I get it. I get it. It's like having something that basically only you have. It's cool. It's kind of like the art thing as well.
Yeah, well, 100%. And NES is super specialized with people who care about it, care deep. Yeah. There's deep collectors. You bet hang tab variants, no Rev variants, sticker seals, like all of that matters. Mm-hmm. And all of that can make hundreds or thousands of dollars of differences. Mm-hmm. And that's where NES was always super, super, super fun to collect.
Right.
I don't know if I would say It's tough. NES probably has opportunity, but what terrifies me is just that it's getting older. So even a game like Star Force already means nothing to most of the population.
Mhm.
Another 10, 20 years pass, you have to be truly an NES specialist to even know what the heck we're talking about, which might keep its relevance and price high. Yeah, it might keep it, but at this point, I'm trying to shift my own focus to, Wind Waker, Fire Emblem, games that are released now in the year 2000. We're bringing it forward 17 years versus Star Force or whatever it is, coming 15 years more into the future, more into relevance. My hope is that these games will just have more future outlook, essentially,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
having stuff more modern, Nintendo, Fire Emblem, Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, all the kids who kind of would grow up in that era really are not at kind of their prime disposable income period yet. So
No, they aren't. GameCube kids are still pretty young. I
yeah,
mean, I'm kind of a GameCube. We're 30. I'm 30. You're
yeah,
old. I forget you're old.
30.
I always forget you're old.
7 years older.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
guy, yeah.
But you know, GameCube for me was came out during when I just got into high school. So, you know, I have great memories of GameCube too. You know, I was 14, 13. So
yeah.
yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of targeting. Like, I personally think GameCube right now is one of the best spots to buy. Which
Mhm.
sounds crazy, I know, because like GameCube's so expensive. Like, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's just really not.
Not as much as it could be.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Or maybe should be.
In my opinion, yes. Not as much as it could be or should be. I bought like Toadstool Tour, Black Label Retail, just sitting on eBay for 90 US. I was like, okay. All right. Factory sealed copy. Like, great.
Yeah.
It seems dirt cheap in my opinion.
Yeah.
So long as you're not chasing after like 9.8 grade stuff, I mean, a couple $100, $300, you're getting like most GameCube games factory sealed.
And I mean, I just love the way they look. You know.
Too. I love GameCube.
Yeah.
That just is what it is.
Yeah.
But speaking of the one-of-one stuff in art, you have something here.
Yeah. So
Again,
I've
big spender Jeremy.
been I've been kind of delving into comic art here. So I've been really wanting some nice 90s Spider-Man stuff. And the 90s comic art has really
So when you say comic art, just for anyone who doesn't know what the heck you're even...
original artwork that was done for comic books.
Okay.
Yeah. So like pages or covers or
Like the
title
original
splashes.
ink.
The original ink artwork, pencil ink artwork. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the 90s was like a tricky this thing keeps falling. I need to move closer.
Like
I keep pulling it,
I see
like,
you keep grabbing at something
yeah.
over there, yeah.
Yeah. It's the 90s was like it was a tricky time for Marvel because they weren't doing well. They were really struggling financially, and they were kind of just like throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. But you know, people who grew up in that era, I think for me, I never really read comic books growing up, but I watched the shows. You know, X-Men, Spider-Man. The cartoons were
X-Men 97.
Yeah.
Have you watched it yet?
I'm like halfway through it.
Oh, okay, I need to start. Like I'm going to start like
yeah,
this weekend, hopefully.
It's wonderful, really wonderful. So, you know, that was kind of my like introduction into the comic book characters, along with the games. So, I've just been like, okay, I just want to get like a nice, you know, Spider-Man splash, maybe like something Carnage, something Venom, you know, because the symbiotes were like the 90 story for most people. So I ended up finding this really beautiful Spider-Man 2099 title splash from 1995. So I don't know how to like best
Yeah, over there would
put
probably
this.
be...
Maybe here is the
Yeah.
best, but it's a really gorgeous piece of art. Joe St. Pierre is the artist, and it's actually the very first piece he ever drew for Marvel in 1994 when they hired him off Valiant.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's good provenance right there.
Yeah, so they're like, you know, draw us a Spider-Man piece, and he and the inker Brad Van Cotta, they just like gave it their all in this thing. And they didn't publish it in the main series, but they published it the next year in 2099 Unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, it's basically one of the nicest 2099 Spider-Man splashes you could ever hope
I
to
mean,
get.
yeah, seeing it in person here, I know the audio listeners can't see it. I promise you guys, this
Yeah.
thing is incredible.
It's
Like,
gorgeous.
wish you could see it.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. It's like, you know, Todd McFarlane's 1990 Spider-Man #1 cover. You know, it's like him like covered in webbing, and it's got like this kind of horror vibe to it.
Yeah, it's very horror-esque.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's cool about
That's what
it.
really drew me in. And the Spider-Man who is 2099, which is Miguel O'Hara, he's kind of more like of a feral type Spider-Man. Like he's got claws and stuff like that.
Did you say feral?
Yeah,
Do you
like
mean
he's
feral?
feral, feral.
Whatever
you wanna say.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But he's more
Gotcha.
like he's more like an animal. It seems like sometimes, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's got a darker vibe.
No,
So,
it's incredible. Do you want to say how much you paid for that? Because I know you're going You're
Yeah.
again blowing me out of the water here. I gotta up my game.
That one I think I got a really good deal at around it was like just under 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4,000.
Yeah.
Never mind 100.
Yeah.
Just to clarify how much, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get into the world of original art, one of ones, I know we've talked about it before, but the barrier to entry is massively higher than video game collecting.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but at the same time, I see lots of great 90s art that's like $100 for a page.
Okay.
Depends on what's going on in the page and how significant it is, but you can still get original art for less than $100.
Are you getting, like, you say that, right? I can point to video games for $5, like,
Yeah.
just going all the way down. If you pay $100 for a page, are you getting anything that someone might actually want, or are you literally just buying yourself a page to say, hey, people line their walls with $5 PS2 games?
Yeah, that's right.
Is the $100 page actually something anyone wants?
Well, you never know. I mean, it's people always buy cheap stuff and use it for trade bait, or you got to start somewhere. And for a lot of people, that's where it starts. Is just at the lower cost entry stuff.
Okay.
And you build up enough of it. Who isn't to say in 5 to 10 years that you might do really well on it? I think as long as you buy what you like, you're probably going to do well.
Is that the old don't invest in it, just like buy what you like type of?
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, I think you need to be more deep in the hobby to be able to, like, quote unquote invest in it.
Yeah, because getting into art and the one-on-one side is like that is deeper. That's deeper than comic collecting.
Yeah,
straight
absolutely.
up.
Yeah,
And
because
you
you're
said-
looking at one of a kind stuff.
Like you said, the comic for that piece that you bought there is actually pretty worthless.
Yeah, it's not an expensive comic at all. But
Like even 9.8.
no,
Oh, okay.
no, it's just not. And the cover, is it Spider-Man on the cover? Yeah, it is. But the artist is different.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's just one of those things where, like, if you want a great looking, let's just say Spider-Man 2099, you want a great splash, you can't even find one. Like, there's just nothing on the market.
I think my brother just bought a 20.99 book.
Yeah,
They're cheap.
they just made a brand new series.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
maybe he's getting in at the right time.
He's back in the limelight because of the Spider-Verse movies.
Gotcha.
He was kind of the evil Spider-Man.
I still need to watch those. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're really
I've
fun.
heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, very, very creatively done, very unique. But for me, like, looking at what was available on the market, I'm just like, this is like barren pickings. Like, I really want something that is like A+ image.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like super expensive. Like, this wasn't super expensive relatively,
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, relatively
Yeah,
speaking.
relatively speaking.
So, like, when I saw it, I was just like, that's everything I want in a Spider-Man piece.
So this you're keeping?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
This
for sure.
is going to be held for a while.
Yeah, I just want to get like a few nice pieces and, see how I like kind of collecting in the segment, because I do have comic art, but it's all video game related stuff.
Okay.
So, like, some game covers, like Time Cop on SNES, that's
Yep.
that's post from a comic page. I have that original page.
Oh, neat.
But I've never actually collected just pure comic art that's not video game related. So I'm kind of starting to do that now, and it's really fun. I'm just delving down rabbit holes and trying to find stuff at a decent price, and it's so difficult.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think securing any kind of piece is gonna be a hunt.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Hard to do.
It's hard because the 90s stuff is really coming up now, and collectors are not thrilled to sell anything, especially if it has like Spider-Man and Venom or Carnage on it. Like,
Is there like a big disconnect right now? I guess this is a spot where you're saying there might be opportunity, as in comic art from the 90s.
oh, for sure. Like, if you can find nice stuff, hold on to it for 5 to 10 years. I think, again, it's people like me kind of coming up from that age who want to get stuff from their childhood. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
When you're talking there, like, people don't want to get rid, is there actually a big disconnect between current auction prices and kind of what people think the stuff should be worth, or like how much they actually value owning this stuff?
Yeah, for sure. It's like that with everything that doesn't have a direct comparable. Like with games, the last thing it's sold for is kind of the market price. But for artwork, you really only have the last time that specific piece sold to really
Okay.
know what the market value should be. So I think a lot of when you're buying stuff from like a dealer or a collector, you're really working with each other to find what you both think works for the other person. Somebody could have something listed at, say, 15,000. You say, oh, I think that's only worth 6. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, then let's talk about it. Let's justify it. Let's work on it. and sometimes you can get a decent deal that way.
Yeah, sometimes you guys can find a common ground, actually.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes that can happen with trades. Like I
Okay,
bought.
because you're not dealing with concrete values with trades, which
Yeah,
is really interesting.
yeah, I bought a beautiful Carnage Splash from the 90s.
Yep.
I don't have it yet, but it is like everything you could ever want in a Carnage Splash. And so I was like, I've been looking at this thing for like a year. I should just try and do it. And so I traded some stuff I didn't have a lot into. And I think I did well in the trade because of that. And I was able to make it work.
Then sell off the Ocarina of Time just to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you know what?
put that towards your.
I sold my childhood Pokemon cards.
Oh, there we go. Jesus.
I
did
just,
make a cut.
I looked at, I was like, you know what? These are basically the same price. What would I rather have? A case full of cards or like a real banger piece of art?
Was it hard to get rid of the cards?
No.
Dude, no? Really, eh?
It was not hard at all.
Dang.
And I posted every single graded card I had. And I think I basically got 86% of market.
Really?
It was good. It was easy.
I mean, shoot.
Yeah, it was just all my childhood cards that I've had, since
and
the
mentally,
90s.
mentally, emotionally,
No,
you're whatever.
no, it didn't affect me as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, that's I guess where I'm at is.
Yeah, and you know what? I kept one thing. The only one I kept was my Mewtwo movie promo, because that was my original one that I got.
You actually got it at the movie?
Yeah. So that's the one. It's not worth a ton.
No, I know.
It's like an $80 card at PSA 9.
Yeah.
So I kept that one because I'm like, yeah, I could see just having that card sitting there. But as far as having like a bunch of cards, they're difficult to display.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It
really
is.
difficult. And I just don't.
I have that little, like that's 3D printed right there on that Yu-Gi-Oh card that sometimes sits beside us.
Mhm.
It's like a 3D printed card stand. So you can at least do something
Mhm.
with the card. Otherwise, like, how are you displaying cards, right? It's tough.
Yeah, it's difficult because they're just so tiny. And,
like even that doesn't stand out. It's like freaking, it's tiny.
Yeah.
My card is tiny. It doesn't like, it's tiny. It doesn't look great.
Yeah, it's true. And, it's funny when like we're talking about games and stuff like, I could put the Ocarina next to the Spider-Man Splash. And it's probably no question once it's graded, the Ocarina is probably worth more.
Yeah, quote unquote. Yeah, worth more.
Worth more than the artwork. But, for me, looking
side
at
by
that,
side, well, the art crushes,
it's just, yeah,
it's huge, it's beautiful, it's
you don't even like worry about money sometimes when you see something like that. It's, it's history. It's like you're playing on a memory sort of with the retail stuff.
Yep.
But with the artwork, you are doing the same thing to a degree, but you're also dealing with history. It's historical artifacts.
I know Sean with Reserved Investments has been teasing he has like a comic art video coming.
Yeah.
He made a small blurb about like collecting and investing in comic art, that if you're going after pieces like this, like he basically called this trash. He didn't say that, but you know what I'm paraphrasing here, where he's saying if you actually want to get into comic art or comic art investing, you should be spending $20,000 per piece, even six figures on some, and securing truly great pieces. And if you don't have the money to do so, you might be better off just doing something else, or even just buying the comic books instead, because you truly can't buy desirable stuff.
Yeah.
I guess what's your opinion on that?
Well, he's partially right. Sometimes that's where you can snag a true grail for, a decent amount of money is in that upper range where someone has had something for a long time. They don't have a ton invested in it. Maybe they like it, but they're, kind of ready to move it. Sometimes that's the area where you can actually get something great, but then that's for you, that's a huge capital cost. But, you're trading that for something that is theoretically more important. But, the thing with artwork too is it's not just about the monetary aspect. I mean, I get, Sean is talking about this as a pure investable thing.
Yeah, he separates emotion from most of this.
Yeah, which is, a very
in
smart...
order to be successful with it, you really, like how you sold your Pokemon cards. If it's the right time to sell them and you're getting them and you got to separate the emotion from that.
Yeah, for sure, which is, basically what I did in the end. And it's you're weighing certain things a little bit because you are paying real money for stuff. But at the same time, it's different than just buying an S&P 500 index fund, which is the smart thing to do.
Theoretically,
everyone should do with their money, pretty much. But stuff like artwork pays other dividends, which is you get to have something great on your wall. It's a piece of history,
I
you
don't
know,
need real money. Like, look what's on. Look at all the games we have in here, Jeremy. We
well,
don't need money.
we talked about this quite a few episodes back, where once you reach a certain amount of money, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Mhm.
It's really just money is just
The vehicle. It's
yeah,
like
the vehicle to acquire an asset. So, for me, owning artwork is like, it's like having something real history in your hands. And I love that about it. I could easily not buy this and, throw my money into an index fund, but it's just not fun. It's probably the smarter thing to do.
I know.
But it's just not fun. It's not what it's not what I live for.
It's not fun.
No.
And a lot of the buying, speculating, trying to play the market, you're getting this historical stuff that you also love and have the emotional attachment to. And if you can separate the emotion enough, you can do good with this stuff, even if it's not not smart. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
We should both just have money funds and like not all this crap around the
yeah,
room,
that's
right?
right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I get that. It's not fun.
Yeah. But I think as collectors, we love learning about the hobbies we put ourselves into. And the only way you can learn more about the hobby is to just do it and plunge in. If I'm not buying comic art and just thinking about it, well, this, there's nothing there really.
And
you
that's
have to do something.
That's not even collecting. That's business. That's learning a new skill. That's anything. Like, go lose $1,000 doing something, and you will learn more about that, whatever it is, than you'll ever will. Just like YouTube videos and anything.
Yeah,
just pour some money in and go do it. If you lose it, whatever. That's your cost of education.
Yeah, there's no better lesson than failure. That's for sure.
Literally, so you're gonna reflect on everything you did wrong.
Yeah,
you're gonna you learn nothing if you just jump in and like, you did right. But if you jump in and fail something, you learn so much.
Yeah,
and that's just like a life thing.
Yeah. And for me, like looking at the the '90s Spidey stuff, X-Men stuff, seeing how much it's come up and how little is available publicly, it kind of looks to me like, okay, maybe I should just buy a few things and see where this goes. And
really just take a shot on it.
Take a shot at it, and I'm just like, I'm exchanging, really selling my Pokemon cards, buying art. That's kind of what I think a lot of us end up doing when we have stuff sitting around. It's just, if it doesn't do anything for you, then offload it, get something you do like.
Funny enough, my brother just is going to sell his 3DS Pokemon games.
Okay.
He has like almost a full run, and he just wants to get rid of them. I think it would be $800 or something, and turn it into comics, because he's just getting deeper into comic collecting. And it's something I emphasize a lot too on my main channel. It's not that you have to sell everything you own and stuff, but like, realize that what you do own is the tangible asset that you can transfer into something else. Like, that is money sitting there. You don't have to view everything on your shelves as, that's a $100 bill, that's 200. You don't have to look at it like that, obviously, but you have to understand that quite easily, honestly, you can turn it into something else.
Yeah.
And you really should at least have the ability to know how to do that. If it's an eBay sale, if it's trading, if it's whatever, like, you should be efficient. If you're going to be collecting, you should be efficient at also turning your collection into money. That you should have that skill. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the way to really avoid massive losses, is to be able to sell.
Just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's also how you jump on opportunity, where it's like, oh man, I can't afford to do this right now, but hey, wait a second. If I just, like that Smash I bought for $3,500, damn right I sold stuff. Like, I don't have $3,500 cash right now, but I can throw it on a credit card. Awful, just terrible.
Do not do that.
Yeah, terrible, right? Talking about like mutual fund. Throw it on a credit card, and then quickly put together a box of consignment of stuff I don't need anymore. I can offset costs like this and just get that out the door. And within a month, it's like, okay, like we're back to equal.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight fee on the credit card, but it's like, I got rid of other stuff to buy this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, for me, like getting into comic art, it's kind of something that renews my collecting interest.
It's fresh.
It's fresh, and I love game art, but it's just so rare that I can't like keep myself sustained on it, because it's like once in a blue moon I'll find something.
Yep.
But when it comes to like collectible books or video games, as the case may be, or comic art, I can kind of dabble between a few different hobbies depending on my current interest at the time.
For sure. That's why I also have trading cards.
Yeah.
Because I just need I don't know. It's in the brain. It's deep in the brain.
Yeah.
I need that dopamine or searching or learning.
Yeah.
I need that constant learning.
It's the educational aspect of it. And I think too, it's like, we're not really doing this in a vacuum. The more the more kind of different hobbies you explore, I think the real value is in kind of the human relationships that come with it. Like for me, delving into comic art, I've made new friends in that zone.
We're getting deep now.
Well,
now we're getting deep.
I mean,
it's the friends along the way.
This is like
the money's great, you guys.
this is what means everything is the human relationships, because that's how you find stuff and upgrade your collection. You trade with people you meet.
Yeah.
You offload stuff you don't want. They want better.
The deeper you get and stuff, it's the genuine. I know it's corny as hell, but the deeper you get, like, people matter way more.
Oh yeah,
it just is what it is.
For sure.
As the values go up, as the scarcity goes up, the people matter way more.
Yeah, and you rely on them to, like before I bought some of this comic art, there's a guy who, like, he's been collecting for 20 years. He's watched all the auctions. He writes little like auction. Do
I know this guy? Who is it?
No, I don't think you know. He's purely just a comic art collector, but he's someone who really looks at it as an investment opportunity. He has a hard cutoff when he's going to sell everything.
Okay, jeez.
So really interesting.
How many years do I have to buy some? What's the cut date? 2026 February? Like, what are we?
No. It's just when he said when he reaches a certain age, it's all going. He loves it.
Interesting.
Loves dabbling in it, but that's like his.
I almost kind of view that in my own life. Like, at 40, 50, I assume is when I'm going to get rid of most stuff. Like when I turn 40, 50.
Right.
I might still, but it's easier to have a lot of stuff when I'm 30 than it will be when I'm 40, 50.
Down the road, yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. But, the people you meet in these hobbies, you learn from them. You learn their knowledge that they've accumulated over decades. So it makes your life easier when you're going into this blind and like, well, what do I buy? What's a good price? Is this like this Spider-Girl page from 2003? Is that a good price? Like, it looks good to me, but is that a good price? There's so many unknowns. So when you meet people in different hobbies and chat with them and learn more about it, that's invaluable, because you save money down the road.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So we got comic art that we need to get into.
Yes.
I kind of think N64 and GameCube.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear more opinions.
Yeah.
If you're listening on YouTube, definitely let us know. Like, what has been capturing your interest in 2024 with collecting, I guess would be the best way to put it, as a blanket statement. What's been capturing your interest? If you're listening to it on the podcast, the audio, make sure to rate and review. It really helps out. If you're watching on the YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let us know. Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll see you next week.